not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that. And William Skull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, how Canelo.
They announced it on Saturday after the whole Canelo fight, and I don't understand. This is a big fight. I don't know. I'm a boxing fan. I'm a UFC boxing fan. I'm a fan. But this fight, I ain't gonna lie, it might cause a little race war between blacks and Mexicans because Canelo's fans is kind of crazy. But
It's September between the two great fighters in our generation.
Terence Crawford recently issued a direct warning to Canelo Alvarez during a live stream, looking straight into the camera and declaring, "In September, I'm going to show the world what greatness looks like." This wasn't a vague or casual remark. It was a clear message aimed at one man. Crawford wasn't speaking about a distant dream. He made it evident that the September fight isn't just a side project. It's his next target, and he's not showing up to test himself. He's coming to win.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody.
Over the past few months, Terence Crawford's tone has shifted from playful to sharp, beginning earlier this year when he tweeted, "Remember what you said about me." That message came after years of Canelo dismissing the idea of a fight between them, labeling Crawford as too small. At the time, Crawford didn't respond with a full-blown rebuttal. He simply planted a seed. Now that seed has grown, and it's personal. This recent live stream marked a turning point, showing he's ready to close the gap between talk and action.
Canelo's really good. Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But
Crawford's confidence doesn't come from hope. It's built on a proven track record. Recently, he took another subtle jab online, saying, "Now don't make Daddy take his belt off, son. You've been a good boy lately. Don't make Papa mad now." While it seemed lighthearted on the surface, the underlying message was clear. Crawford sees himself as the one in control. He views Canelo's recent performances as lacking the intensity of his prime, believing that the Canelo of today isn't the same force he was 4 or 5 years ago. And in their upcoming fight, Crawford is confident he'll expose that
His
decline.
fans would have never in their life allowed Crawford to fight 36 rounds with Canelo. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask him to fight David Benavidez. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask to fight Dimitri.
Yeah, but you're
We're
acting
talking
like,
about. I'm not done, my friend, because you're like on that weed is. I need some of that weed because we're talking about a dude that moved up 2 divisions.
Oscar De La Hoya, who knows both fighters well, recently shared his thoughts on how things might unfold on September 13th, saying, "Crawford is very, he's not one-dimensional. He can move, he can box. I don't know how hard he hits to keep Canelo away from him, but I think it's going to be very interesting." De La Hoya's hesitation wasn't about Crawford's skill. It was about his power. And that's the central question heading into this matchup. Can Crawford hit hard enough to make Canelo respect his shots?
I got the reach. I got the reach over. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do it.
Obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not doing Kovalev.
Kovalev
De La Hoya admitted he's looking forward to the fight, despite being unsure of the outcome, as the matchup sparks genuine curiosity. Crawford has turned many into believers, but facing someone who has competed at super middleweight for so long presents a whole new level of challenge. He's not just going up against a bigger name, but a naturally bigger man. Manny Pacquiao, a fighter who knows the risks of jumping weight classes better than most, offered some advice to Crawford during a recent discussion. When asked what he would tell the Omaha native, Pacquiao responded plainly, "My advice is that he would make sure to focus on speed. That's the problem when you're moving up in weight. Your speed and power go. So he needs to focus on that."
What up, Ben? Who you got? Canelo Crawford. You got Canelo Crawford.
Yeah, got Canelo. I heard the punches that he hit Charlo with. I don't know if Crawford can absorb those punches. I know he's a great gangster, a great warrior. But you come from 147 to put on a better fight than I mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means that Crawford is so great and he can do that, or that means that Charlo sets the bar so damn low that anybody can do better than Charlo did last night.
You still really pay the bill? So that would be fun.
That's why Canelo's size is the key factor in Crawford's chances. Crawford isn't going to win this fight through size or sheer force. He has to win it by being faster, sharper, and more alert. His entire style is built on angles, timing, and control, not brute strength. But at 168 pounds, against a fighter who's been training with heavy hitters for years, that skill set will be tested like never before. Former WBA super middleweight champion George Groves, who knows the division well, remains skeptical, saying he's not convinced Crawford can overcome the weight gap. "I can't see how Canelo can't win," Groves said. "He's had a lot of fights now, but there doesn't seem to be too many miles on the clock."
It's a nice division. You got a lot of tough fighters. You got a lot of tough fighters in that division. Of course, Crawford came in there, and he got one match in, and now he's moving on to fight big one, Canelo.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight, man?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta even, to be honest. I mean, Canelo's got definitely more fight experience.
Groves pointed out that while Canelo might not be the biggest man at super middleweight, he's fully grown into the division, and his body is now built for its physical demands. Meanwhile, Crawford has only recently moved up to 154 and is now making another leap, which Groves sees as a red flag. "I can't see him putting any physical dent in Canelo," he said. "Crawford is an amazing fighter, an astute, clever boxer with almost every shot in the book and tremendous balance. But I think it's a step too far." That sentiment is echoed by many in the boxing world. They admire Crawford's talent, but they believe this move might be one bridge too far. Not because he lacks skill, but because weight classes and physics exist for a reason.
I think he's gonna cook him. I think Canelo a hell of a fighter. But I think Bud just got opportunity.
You don't think the weight difference be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, In certain fights,
Make it something.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height-wise.
Speaking about taking big risks during a May 22nd interview, Sugar Ray Leonard shared his thoughts on the size difference between Crawford and Canelo. When asked if the gap was too much, Leonard didn't deny the danger, but he didn't count Crawford out either. "I mean, that's true. But you know what? There's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a way to win," Leonard said. His words weren't just hype. They came from experience. Leonard has lived through the kind of challenge Crawford is about to face, and his message is clear. Sometimes, skill, discipline, and belief can overcome bulk and power. Crawford is hoping that still holds true.
Can bridge the weight gap, or like with you, what did bridge the weight gap? Because a lot of people are just saying, "Hey, Canelo's just too big for someone like that."
I mean, that's true. But you know what? There's always a way. Put it as there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
Bob Arum, the longtime promoter who knows both fighters' careers inside and out, took a different angle. Rather than questioning Crawford, he questioned Canelo. "Canelo has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman," Arum said in a recent interview. "He's not in there to entertain the public. He just takes the big check." Arum wasn't being disrespectful. He was being direct. He's watched Canelo evolve from an aggressive, ruthless boxer into a more calculating, economically minded fighter. And in Arum's eyes, that shift could work against him when facing someone like Crawford, who still fights with urgency.
Tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jamel Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest?
If Canelo really fights, because I think it's safe to say that Terence always fights, he doesn't know anything else, then it could be a very interesting fight. The real question for Arum isn't whether Crawford will show up ready, but which version of Canelo will appear. The veteran who plays it safe, or the younger warrior who traded hard shots without blinking. Arum concluded by asking what many fans have been wondering, who is Canelo going to be? The Canelo looking to cash a big check, or the Canelo who truly wants to fight like a fighter? The Canelo we've seen in the last 2 years hasn't just been boring. He hasn't seemed motivated to mix it up and deliver an entertaining fight.
Has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman. He's not in there to entertain the public. He just takes the big check. But again, if Canelo really fights, because I think safe to say Terence always fights. He doesn't know anything else. So then it could be a very good
question hangs over the fight. It's not just about style, but motivation. Crawford is hungry and coming in with something to prove. He sees this as a legacy fight. Canelo, despite all his accomplishments, hasn't shown that same fire recently. If that pattern continues, Crawford may find the opening he needs. But make no mistake, this fight isn't just a money grab for Crawford. His live warning, delivered just days ago, wasn't for drama. It was a clear statement of intent. He's been climbing steadily, having cleaned out 140, dominated 147, and stepped up to 154 without hesitation. Now, he's skipping 160 entirely to challenge the man at the top of 168. Guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates.